Hi everyone, Danielle here. I'm doing an unboxing of A Place for All My Books. This is a game that I backed on a crowdfunding campaign, and it finally delivered. Although I shouldn't say finally, I think it came on time, but I was pretty excited to get this game in my hands. So this is the deluxe edition. This is published by Smirk and Dagger Games. Designed by Alex Cutler and Mike Mihilsik. Illustration by Naomi Lord. And it does have an icon that shows Dai's tutorial. So that means you could use the app or website to learn how to play this game. And it's probably how I'm going to be learning how to play the game. So unfortunately, I did end up recording a true first time unboxing of this game, but my microphone wasn't recording to OBS. So unfortunately, I'm redoing this, but that's okay. Since everything is now out of the packaging, I'll be able to show it a little bit more quickly. But yeah, this is the sleeve for the game, which I think is important to have because as you'll see, the box is very, very nice and you don't want it to be ruined. So let's carefully put the get the box out of the sleeve, and it is a snug fit. So I'm gonna try to do it without bending the box too much, but I might end up having to pause the video as I struggle to take this out of the sleeve. All right, finally did it, but this is the actual box. So I think this is lovely, right on theme. Looks like a book with a book binding as well. Very nice. And then on the back, it has a nice little quote here. It says, "A room without books is like a body without a soul." And that is just such a profound quote. All right, so let's unbox this. This is like a magnetic opening. We are met with another quote. "A book is a gift you can open again and again." And that is so true. All right, so like I said, I already took out some things. We have this main board here. There's an indicator on the bottom right on which side to use. So this is the side for 1 to 3 players. So there's some locations here. A nice little town. Looks like a very cozy town. Some I guess slots for cards as well. And then the other side is for 4 players. All right. We also have some warnings here. And I have to say, I have never seen warnings sent out in this way, but I guess they want to make sure in every language that you don't have small kids playing with the components. All right, we have the rule book. We have the solo mode on page 10 and 11. So you're playing against Penelope. And it does have some rival cards you will be playing with. So that will help with the solo mode. Then we also have some of the player boards. So there are 4 player boards in total. They pretty much all have the same thing. The only thing that changes is the graphics. And it's basically the character that you end up playing as. So this is what that looks like. So feel free to pause to take it all in, but it looks like there's a tracker here as well for kind of like your energy level possibly. Then let's take a look at the art for each of the portraits for each of these players. I think it's really lovely, the art. We have a nice bag, which we'll be placing all of the wooden books in. So it says "A place for all my books." And what I love the most are the bookmarks. I've always kind of loved bookmarks in general. Whenever I read, I always try to use a nice bookmark. And each of these have quotes on it. So this one says, "A joyful life is a home filled with books. I've not read them all, but isn't it wonderful to know that I might?" Inspired by Sven Burkertz. I also love the images that were placed at the bottom. This one says, "Once you have read a book you care about, some part of it is always with you," by Louis L'Amour. One who carries a book with a bookmark. Let me start over. One who carries a book with a bookmark in it is in 2 places at the same time. Tony Abbott. And I love that. I love books that really kind of make a cool escape from reality. All right. You know you've read a good book when you turn the last page and feel a little as if you have lost a friend. Paul Sweeney. I've definitely read some books that gave me that feeling. All right, so let's dig into some of the wooden components here. So we have some of these discs with the players and also some other icons printed on it. So just some wooden discs. but they are just printed on one side. Unless there's a purpose to have it just one side. I always prefer it to be double-sided, but I feel like a lot of board game publishers don't decide to go that route. It's very interesting. But at least for this, these are double-sided. So you have all the characters, even Penelope, along with a backpack. So all of these are actually double-sided, which is nice. Okay. And I have to see if there's a 3D printed insert that might fit all of these components a little nicer than having it in baggies, but I'll have to check those out and see. And these are just kind of like hexagons and all of the different player colors. I'm sure we'll be using it for some trackers. All right, and then here we have 4 lucky cats, or lucky kitties, I think is what the game calls it. 1 in each player color. So that's really neat. I love cats, so this is super cute. And then we have all of these books, which is probably the highlight of the game, is managing all of these books in your shelf area. So let's take a look here. I do have at least 1 of each color here in my hand. And I also love how accessible it is, although the yellow is a little hard to see with the gold on top, but the shapes definitely help with making sure everyone can play this game easily. That's always nice and thoughtful when we do that. And then, of course, for solo, we can't forget this piece of cardboard, I don't know, paper. It's called Penelope Ever Ready for solo game. So this is who you'll be versing in the solo. You have to say when it came a little bit like bent because it wasn't really in anything. It was just like laid on top of something. So I'll have to flatten it out by putting it under some heavy books. But this is the books. That's funny. I oh my god, I just got distracted by that lame pun. But anyway, this is what you'll use in solo mode. Okay, here we have a deck of other neat stuff. So these are all cards that have interesting things. I love that they included their popular game called Boop. If you haven't learned about it, you will definitely in this one. Also Hi-Fi, of course, a place for all my books, Shobu. So that's fun seeing the board games there. But these are kind of like items and stuff that you'll be able to, I guess, gain throughout your turn. Okay. And then we have here the rival deck. So the rival deck is going to be used only for solo mode. So we have all of these. I believe these will just dictate where Penelope will be visiting on the map and doing some additional actions on their turn. I think that's how it's going to work. And then we have some other cards here. We have the unique player cards. So these just tell you what you can do every time you admire. I'm guessing that's just a type of action in the game. And then we have a deck of little projects. Let's grab those. So all of these are little projects, and these are kind of like orders. So if you like meet the requirement in the brown section of the card, it seems you'll be able to gain this card and gain the victory points in the yellow star. But yeah, we have a bunch of different type of like locations within a house over there. Some grid requirements. Okay. And then lastly, we have a little deck of major accomplishments. So these look to be some scoring cards as well. And depending if you're first or second, you do get some points if you meet the requirement. And then lastly here, we have this Kickstarter exclusive, I believe, where it says a thank you with thanks to all our backers. That's really cute. And then just some additional cards that you'll be able to mix in with the base game, and then additional cards here as well for the players. All right. So those were all of the components for a place for all my books. I hope you enjoyed this overview. And if you've played this game, let me know how it is solo. I'm very interested, but also I will be playing this game on video. So subscribe if you're not already subscribed. So I'll post that at some point as well. I'm not sure if it'll be a full playthrough yet. I've been kind of toying around with doing more overviews just so that I make sure I touch upon everything that the game could offer versus just possibly missing some actions or missing some important options that you could do during the game when I play the game. Because sometimes I don't get to explain everything. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, if you're not already subscribed, please consider subscribing. A like or comment is also always appreciated. And I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.